Hey guys, how's it going? Today I have a new set of motors for you. I have the ASG Infinity motors. These are relatively new on the market. They've been out for a couple months or so, but I gotta tell you, based on my testing and my examination of like the materials that they're using and everything, these are by far some of the best motors you can get for the money on the market right now. Something that sort of sets them apart from some of the other motors on the market right now is the cnc'ed components on them. They do have a fully cnc'ed end bell as well as a cnc'ed top half of the top part of the can and cnc'ed shaft. It's all one piece right there. That's a big sort of selling point for their motor. You can see it's got CNC written right there. It's a nice touch, especially if you're running some motors that are or running some setups that are going to be running hotter than some of the other plastic end bells can take it. Because recently I've been having a lot of plastic end bells melt on me. Just they got too hot, and you can see like the little pieces of plastic starting to melt through the end bell. You won't have that issue with the aluminum CNC'd end bell on this one. They do, and another exciting thing about their motors is that they do have a TPA count for just about any sort of application that you're looking to use in airsoft. Right here I have the 45,000 and 30,000 RPM motors, and these ones are respectively, I think this one's like 12 TPA and this one is 16 TPA, and then they also have motors in between these two in increments of 5,000 RPM, which are I think like 14, so then like 13 and 14 or 14 and 15 TPA each. I'm not 100% sure on that though, but the point is that they try to cater to each of these sort of applications. You can either have very high speed at the very bottom right here, you can have a torquey, but I would argue a more balanced motor is the 30,000 RPM. But in between that, if you wanted, say, something in between that that wasn't covered in either of these motors, you could go with those. Actually, I do have with me, I have one of their 35,000 motors, 35,000 RPM motors that I'm about to install for a friend in his particular gun. Another thing that I like about these motors is they're pretty competitively priced. They are using neodymium magnets, but their neodymium magnets are stronger than some of the other brands on the market. I was previously recommending a lot of Lonnex products because I like the quality control in their production and stuff. But honestly, for the price that these are coming in at, which is about $55 retail, I would recommend these. Also because the magnets that the ASG motors are using are much stronger than the Lonnex motors. I don't know why that is. For the longest time I was wishing that Lonnex would source better magnets for their motors because they'd just make it that much better. But for the price that ASG is marketing their motors at, really they've sort of won me over for my preferred motor if I were to recommend one. Just because they not only cover the entire span of torque and speed, but they also have very nice quality control, CNC parts on them that aren't going to melt, and they have a price that's not like the crazy. I think the only other motor that I could compare this to in quality as far as magnets and stuff would be one of the GMP M170 to M180 motors. Those are really nicely made motors. They're just really expensive. They're about $80 to $120 depending on the type that you're going with. They too have CNC'd end bell, CNC'd. I actually don't know if they have a CNC'd tower and shaft right here, but they do have vents cut on the side of them, unlike the ASG motor, which is a nice touch, but would I pay an extra $50, $60 for it? No. The ASG motors are really nice. I'm going to cut over to my own personal gun to show you the rate of fire and speed differences between the two. Sorry I don't have something more extreme. The gun that I have built right now is just for a very basic sort of field build, very slow. So in either of these motors, you're not going to notice a crazy amount of crazy rate of fire, but I think it shows the difference between the two motors and their initial their initial spectrum of motors. One thing that I will mention that I prefer, or that I didn't like about the motors initially, was the quality of the pinion gear. The material that they were using just felt like it was a little bit on the softer side. The angle didn't seem to mesh with a lot of the pinions that I had, but they've recently, as opposed to this black one right here, this is similar to the stock one that comes on it. They've recently switched to this sort of silverish pinion gear, and these ones, if you're buying one of the ASG motors, this is the pinion that I would prefer. They're also selling the pinion gear separately in case you already have one of the black pinion gears and you want to have them switched over. That is my only real big complaint about these motors, is that the pinion gear just wasn't. I didn't feel it was as good as it could be. I definitely feel like they could have released a nicer painting, which they did. So kudos to them. They actually listened to the response of a lot of the beta testers and chose something to go with something a little bit better. Let me see what else oh, and then in the upcoming video that I'm going to be showing you where I test the rate of fire on these, you're going to notice that the 30K sounds a little bit weird, and that is my fault. When reinstalling the pinion gear, I had bent the shaft a little bit. I was twisting the installation tool in at a weird angle, so it bent the shaft a little bit. That was my fault. That's not a fault on ASG. I just wanted to let you guys know that. The video will still give you an idea for the rate of fire and trigger response to the gun, but you'll notice it sounds a little bit weird. That's just something that's wrong with this armature right now. Okay, so this is the 45K with the same 18-to-1 setup. Well, those were the firing tests. I hope that gave you guys a little bit better idea of what both of these motors can do. Like I said, right now, as of 2015 when I'm filming this, these are my favorite choice for motors currently on the market. The quality of the magnets, the quality control of the actual build of the motors, the CNC components, all for a very competitive price of $55 map. I would argue that they've sort of cornered the market on the high-end motors or aftermarket motors. And they also just released a 18,000 RPM. I think it's like a 28 TPA. It's a very high TPA motor, which I like a lot because they're marketing it as a stock Franken-Torque. So instead of having to take a whole bunch of components and assemble it yourself, they actually have an option where if you just wanted to buy an extremely high torque, very low speed motor, that you can just buy that off the shelf. So ASG is really listening to a lot of people with their new products, and you should definitely check one of these motors out if you're in the market for an aftermarket motor. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think of these motors in the comment section below, and I will talk to you guys later.